The woman's voice sounded like a hammer on silver. Give back to me what is mine, you promised it. The man's voice sounded like thunder from heaven. If I would give it back to you, you would leave us, you're bad, you would leave me and our son. And so it continued, and the little boy trembled in his bed. Trembled. I'm Clara Adelena, Dr. Theoretical Physics priestess and expert in dating. And I'm super excited to stand here. Maybe you recognize yourself in the man who knows he's holding on to a privilege that is not his, but he fears if he lets it go, everything will go to ruins. First of all, his relationship. Maybe you recognize yourself in the woman, feeling that's an essential part of you you don't have access to, and somebody else has the keys to it. And maybe you recognize yourself in the son, who trembles in his bed and knows that he needs to do something but doesn't know what. The story continues. The boy cries himself to sleep and hears then, wakens up to a voice calling him. Uruk, that's his name, Uruk. And it's coming from the wind from outside, and he puts on his clothes and rushes outside and follows the call, stumbles over something. It's the skin of his mother. And maybe you recognize yourself in the boy who heard the call. Whether you're a man or a woman, maybe you heard the call of your name, and you know you had to step up to live to your fullest power in order to solve relationships between man and women, in order to heal the dynamics between the genders. Now, in dating, we are living a totally outdated story. We are still those men in the place of that man and the woman, and many of us fear that so, that we just avoid it. It's like the boy who ran from the house, but never heard that his name was called, never heard the path to follow. We are fleeing, we are developing our powers, but we are still fleeing the place of love and connection. Especially successful women, I find, are in that place. They heard the call, they heard their name, they knew they were here to stand up to something, they feel they have a mission, they're going for it. But they lose out on love and relationships. These women are an exceptional, powerful group. They have the strength to hold out really long from love, knowing they won't go back in the old story. And what I am here to share, my new vision, is that there is no old story to go back to. There is a new story of the boy who stumbled, who followed, and who stumbled over the skin and picked it up. And then his mother stood next to him because she had followed him into the cold. And she takes the skin from him, and he's scared because his father said she would leave him. She puts on her seal skin because in her other life she's a seal woman. But then she sees her son and she breathes into him 3 times and takes him with her into the waters. Now that is dating. That is an initiation. That is woman finding her power back, and from that place initiating man into the world of the soul, of connection, of deep, meaningful connection. That's the new dating, preparing us for the new relationship. No longer place for holding on to privileges, no longer place for blaming somebody else to hold the keys to your power, but following the call, taking up your power, initiating your partner. And I see that this can be made very, very tangible and practical. We do this in an 8-week program. This story guides women, and we translate it into how do you show up on your first date? How do you chat? How do you bring up the topic of wanting a family and commitment? We translate it into how do you move beyond that first date? And how do you actually transit from being strangers to beautiful birds flying by here together? How do you fly from being strangers to flying together? So I'm super excited to share this new idea. And what I see is that it will help so many women and men to move away from that place where unconsciously they're fleeing relationships. That son who's still caught in the old story. It will free them from that story, and open them to the new dating where a man and woman are ready to meet each other with presence and connection and integrity and authenticity, with rawness and a lot of heart. This is a new idea worth spreading, and I'm super excited to take the stage and share this vision, because I know this will not only help so many people find their partners, but it will also create more happy, stable relationships, marriages, parenthood. Thank you, Clara Aralena. Aloha.